the whole thing I'm trying to talk about here. Like, you can't solve a problem until you first acknowledge it exists. And you can never acknowledge it exists if you're constantly distracted by everything else. All of these distractions are there because we don't want to deal with our stuff.
Yeah.
And this whole room it's actually not a room, it's a mirror. It's showing all of the stuff that we're just not looking at. It's forcing us to deal with this stuff.
Welcome. You have been chosen to spend 50 days in the Immaculate Room and will win $5 million by completing the task. Enjoy your stay in the Immaculate Room.
Hey, Jim, good on you.
Yeah, it's been a while since it was January when you were at the Mammoth Festival. We spoke about the film, and now.
Oh, yeah.
Now
What we're in now? We're in August. Yeah, that was a while ago. Gosh, it's all a blur.
Yeah, you guys premiered it there and everything. So now it's coming out for audiences everywhere to see it, finally being unleashed in a lot of ways. So is it now more exciting? I mean, I know when you initially premiere at a festival, it's a limited kind of amount of people. It's a first look, and now it's like the wide thing. Does it feel any different for you to bring it out to the world again for the second time? And I guess
I'm actually excited. I think people are going to like it. It lands well. It's getting a good reception of the people that we've seen. It's staying with people. It's not just like watched and forgotten. So I'm optimistic.
as well you should be. It's crazy. I feel like I'm watching all your movies. I just saw Clyde last week. I did the press day for that. I thought you would be on it too, to get to talk to you on that one. So I guess missed you on that one, but I talked to the cast of that film. I'm like, you're just popping up everywhere.
It's feast or famine, and I guess it's feasting time. 2 movies coming out in the theaters this month. It is bizarre, but that's just, you take it.
Yep, and two different movies, and I think we did speak about Clyde back then. It was just like I had not seen it. It was just kind of like an idea, we talked about. You kind of mentioned to it, and finally got to see it. And boy, that was something too. I'm like, I'm probably not getting reservations to Collide, or maybe opting for takeout. After seeing that. But it was fantastic. It's just like you have a flair for the dramatic, that's for sure.
Thank you.
I feel like I've been watching movies with tension, like Collide. I saw Scott Mann's Fall that's coming out, where 2,000 feet in the air, 2 girls are trapped, and I see yours, and everything's like a claustrophobia. It's so interesting, different styles, and how you can create different sort of emotions and claustrophobia for a viewer. It's
we're competing with a lot of other, things taking people's eyeballs. So you got to ramp up the tension. You got to ramp up the pace of things. It has to be, high concept. It's competitive out there, and people are demanding more from their stories, and it's just lifting the game a little bit, I think. And I'm all for it. I mean, I also get bored. Like if someone's not engaging you early on, you're going to move on. It's just like that. So you got to kind of roll with the punches these days, and that means start strong and get stronger.
I like that, because that it keeps you in. Once you get that early kind of feel for it, and then it grasps you, you're more likely to stay along for the ride.
Exactly. That initial period is where the audience goes, can we trust the storyteller? Is this person going to take us to places that we don't know already? And once, if you can tick that box, they relax into it more, and then they surrender to your kind of guidance where you're going to take that story. But if you're not doing that up front, they're going to be second guessing in places where you don't want them to second guess. You rather want them to absorb themselves in story. So yeah, the bar's pretty high for those first 10, 15 minutes. But once you get that, then I think you have them, and they're going to stay.
A movie like this, The Immaculate Room, it's so subtle, because you have 2 characters in it, in this blank room, really, but it gets you because of the human interaction. It's crazy. Like, I rewatched this for a second time now, months later, and I still get the same sort of feeling as if watching it for the first time. You get this uncomfortable feeling, especially when things started getting revealed between these people, because you can put yourself in this position. You constantly think about, oh man, even though I've seen the movie, again, I'm putting myself in that position of like, what would I do? Oh, like, you know, just the subtle things. Like I probably would like order chicken or something and throw a 200 grand out, you know, like all these like human element of questions, it still hits you even the second time around. You know, that's, you know, that's a concept there, an idea that resonates with humans no matter how many times you even see this film.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, although it's a high concept thing, it's still very much grounded in how our actors and our characters deal with the situation that's there. So
Yeah.
it is relatable, even though it's fantastical in terms of there's lots of money at stake and it's kind of a fantastical environment in a sense. It is grounded emotionally, and I do think that people resonate. Oh, this must be tough. I understand the decisions they made. I understand all of the stuff coming out of these people. I have the stuff too. So I think that that works in its favor, because I think it's the parallel tracks. Give them something high concept, but they come for the high concept, but they stay for the human drama of it. You know, ultimately
Exactly.
people want to connect. And I do think that Kate and Emile do such a strong job of being relatable that people really connect to that.
No question. And I mean, they carried a movie, but I love how you wrote them too, because these characters, because one is like very motivated and kind of, you know, Kate's character is just like, let's make it. She's the one that's kind of pushing and yeah, keeps him kind of, you know, going along. And he's sort of the more mellow in a sense, but like bored and you know, it's just like I feel like I'd be more his character too in that way. But these are two very different individuals. They're a couple, but they're so different, because I feel like if they're both the same sort of energy or personality, it would have been like a clash from the beginning. But it's a great contrast that you brought here of two different personalities, really. Almost makes you think it's like polar opposite couple here, you know, getting together. But
Yeah.
she's very kind of high strung and, you know, motivated, and he's just kind of like more willing to give up at certain points, and they hold each other stuck through this, you know?
Yeah, well, you need tension in everything, and tension is engaging and it's interesting to watch. So that inherent tension between the two of them, you see immediately, and you know it's only going to get worse, and it gets worse to degrees that nobody would have even expected. So
Uh-huh.
that's the seed of that which you plant early on, and I think it helps. Every interaction is loaded with an undercurrent of this tension that you know is going to go south at some stage.
You know, it's crazy because you look at society too, and I'm like, I kind of wish like couples had like 3 days maybe just kind of secluded together to get to know each other, because everything's so digital and swiping for dating and all this stuff. It's like it's so impersonal these days. People don't spend time together, like quality time like that, without distraction, because you're always on a phone. Like go to any restaurant, like 90% of people are on their phone, even at a restaurant when you're supposed to be like paying attention to each other. You know, it's almost a fantasy world in a weird way that these humans get to like interact without distractions. It's crazy because it used to be like that for centuries, but now we're in such a digital age of we're just addicted to devices.
That's the whole thing I'm trying to talk about here. Like, you know, you can't solve a problem until you first acknowledge it exists. And you can never acknowledge it exists if you're constantly distracted by everything else. All of these distractions are there because we don't want to deal with our stuff.
Yeah.
And this whole room it's actually not a room, it's a mirror. It's showing all of the stuff that we're just not looking at. It's forcing us to deal with the stuff. And then it all comes out and we're shocked. But yeah, you got to deal with your stuff. It's not going away. Just pushing things down just makes it toxic. It doesn't make it go away.
I know, it's a scary reveal. It's a scary self kind of reveal, because when you look at it, like, wow, just carving out some alone time, if possible, in today's society could lead to so many better relationships, human interactions. You know, I feel like we become like robots and antisocial in society, you know,
Yeah.
like, oh, I just want to text. I don't want to even a phone call.
People are afraid of seeing and dealing with stuff. And I understand that, but it's worse not dealing, because it just gets cancerous, both literally and figuratively. You got to deal with your stuff. You got to grow. You got to make progress. Like we're becoming a little weak, and it's not good. It's like,
No, it's true. And then it's explosive. You have explosive behavior because all this suppressed stuff that's
yeah,
staying in,
exactly.
you know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
such a commentary. I love how you do this with these films, you know, even in Clyde, these relationships like between these people, it's messy, but it's all about communication at the end. You know what I mean? Because
yeah, great, yeah.
it gets
But
to these.
they say to love somebody, you have to love the ugly person in them too. You know, it's like it's the full package, and love is hard work. And as soon as it gets slightly difficult, we just bail. So therefore, you never ever grow any deep, meaningful relationship because you're out of there. But those that actually do, and they actually look through and accept the ugliness in the other person, they grow these very strong relationships. And I mean, studies have been done that happy people are people engaged in good, happy relationships, not just with your spouse, but with your family and with your community. So yeah, you got to, there's no substitute for a good relationship or a good friend or a good wife or a good mother or a good father, or,
Yeah.
you need that, and no phone is going to give that to you, but it's lacking. So I'm doing my bit to kind of keep us all healthy and happy.
You are. I mean, I'm seeing that. I'm picking it up from your films, and I'm excited to see the next one. Is sort of, I read up a little bit the drive-through crematorium, right? That has another interesting concept to it too. So I'm super excited to see that one. Is it going to also kind of follow a psychological situation and then a human story?
Well, the thing is, I don't have time to write about things that I'm not interested in personally anymore. So for me personally, I'm fascinated by the human condition and I want to talk about it. Obviously, I'm a storyteller and I want to tell engaging stories, but if these stories can have a bit of meat underneath it, I think it's just so much more powerful. So that's what I'm going to keep doing. And I'm appreciating that the audiences are responding.
No question. We had enough of superheroes. How many superheroes can you get? You need some like real life movies that make you think. I think that's always the best thing, when something makes you look within, after you watch. I think that's powerful stuff. And you clearly do that. What's the inspiration for you? Do you pick it up from your real life human interactions in your daily life with people or just like a curiosity sort of hobby you have about human psyche and just the society, how it is? Because it got to come from somewhere to write this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I actually lived in India as a monk for many years, and I kind of really got into the whole idea of introspection and seeing the nature, human nature, because it's this incredible thing that can do so many wonderful things. But it's also like you can see people who are just crippled by their minds and they have potential, but they just somehow they stopping themselves. So human potential is always fascinating to me. And then when you can put it in the, under the framework of a compelling story of people in interesting places, it's very, very interesting. And I think people relate because you do need escapism. And I understand that. I mean, it's healthy to escape every now and again. But if you're constantly escaping, if everything that you're doing, is this never ever dealing with the stuff, then it's a problem, So I personally am fascinated by that. There's unlimited potential as a human, but it can get really messed up with people who are conditioned by so many crazy things and weird traumas and stuff. But there's real magic in there. There's a magic there. And that's fascinating to me. And also, people want to be happy. And unfortunately, it's not so cheap to be happy. You kind of got to do a little work. And people are confused how to do the work and what to do. So, I'm trying to do my bit.
You certainly are. Thanks for the sort of free help to the society. If they pick it up from your movies, that's a good lesson there. I'm curious, how did the actors react to your scripts? Because it seems like, you get some top level talent, some great actors to make these stories come to life, but also is it tough in a sense in this day and age where we're so used to sequels and like I said, superheroes, to sell scripts like yours, or is it unique in a sense because that's maybe kind of not coming in because we're getting so many retreads of things? How are the actors kind of take on your scripts and production in a sense?
Well, the truth is, unless they come wrapped in a high concept package or a genre package, it is very, very difficult. It's difficult to sell a drama. That's why I have these high concept contained thrillers. I mean, we're talking about the meat of the movie underneath it, but on the outside, it's a high concept thriller. That's why they get made. The actors love a good role. They're not so interested in, but you need to have both. So the actors will always take a good role. The Immaculate Room, Clyde, all of these things, they strong roles for actors and actresses. They really can get to sink their teeth in things. They go through these huge arcs as characters, and the actors like that. But you have to be intelligent and make sure that it's packaged in a way that can actually sell, because this isn't just it's commercial arts, the business here, and you got to do things that are going to make people their money back. Otherwise, they won't give you more money to make another movie.
And they would have to believe in a concept too and agree, align. I'd mentioned you probably wouldn't want to sell this to someone who doesn't see this vision or understand what you're trying to convey too, right? Because then you wouldn't.
I mean, I feel that the scripts it's in the script. If they're buying that, they get it. Like, I'm not gonna. What I want to do is in the script, you know. Like, if they're buying that, okay, let's do this, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, you don't want someone to alter it, you know, your vision and change it to commercialize it or anything like that. I think it's important to tell it.
You know, Jim, it's the nature of the beast. And I shot commercials for 10 years, like way back.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to adjust. And I'm actually not precious about, you know, if the core is there, the core is there. And, you know, on the outside, I mean, of course, if you're in a position where you can be, you know, commanding $100 million for your movie or for an idea, sure. But for a lot of us, you know, there is a reality to the business and you got to adjust to it. And I'm okay with that. And I do think that the best ideas win. And
sure,
most people can see what a good idea is. And if you can convince people, look, this works because of this, they will go with it. And, you know, slowly you start to build a track record sometimes and people go, okay, we don't actually fully agree, but we trust you because of what you've done before. And then that trust either grows in those people or you make a mistake and then you got to kind of get that trust back. So, you know, it's a working process and it's fine. Look, there was a time where the arts were they were patrons of the arts. They really liked an artist and they gave them money to do whatever they want and they didn't. And that's great. And let's bring back those days. But until that's there, you have to deal. If people give you money, they have a say. And
sure. No, it's well said. It's a true side of the business too. You know, it's show business. That's why it's called that way too. Yeah. It's in the name.
It can be a harmonious existence.
Sure.
It's okay.
That's good. You have a really good outlook on it, I feel like, too, you know, and sometimes being too attached to your work could be hinder you to get it out there too, in a lot of ways too, you know, too possessive or not open-minded.
Yeah, as a director, one of the biggest things that I've learned, and I think it's one of the strongest attributes of a director, is the ability to adjust and pivot when needed, whether it's the rain or the actress or the financier or whatever it is, because it's not a perfect science. It's an art, and that means it's messy, and you got to go through the mess. And if you're going to get freaked out, people aren't going to want to work with you if you can't adjust.
No question. That's well said. And a lot of talented directors and filmmakers have been lost in a shuffle, you know, because of sometimes communication. What everything boils down to communication at the end, you know, and ability to be open. I'm going to end off by asking you too. I mean, obviously you have fantastic leads. I can't wait to talk to them next week, Emile and Kate. That dynamic, I mean, you switch one of them off, it's a whole different movie. How quickly did you know that these two are the ones? Did you have other actors you were serious about for this too? Because that's the whole movie. You switch one of them out, it's a different film. Yeah. It's a perfect match, literally here.
Yeah, they are perfect, and they delivered beyond what I expected, and they were not. You know, the iterations that go, you get one, and then the other falls away, and then you try and find them, and there were other pairings at a stage, but I am so grateful and so happy that we got Kate and Emile for this, because they knocked those roles out the park, and I'm so happy because it seems as though I wrote them for those people. That's how well they did in this.
Yeah, they were fantastic. And I give you props also on the dialogue. I thought it was very relatable and kind of conversational. Like some of the stuff Emile's character says, like, yeah, I'd say that. It's very human-like and very self kind of aware too. Like just like the lines and dialogue. I picked up on several things he said. I was like, I really liked how it was written, because it's not like movie-like. It's very conversation, everyday people-like, you know, things he said. So I thought that was very cool too.
Yeah, there were some conversations with Kate in the bathroom talking to me. I was like, that's just me and my wife, man.
I love that. Mukunda, I like I said, your work's been all over lately for me watching. I really enjoy your stuff. I know every time I see your movie, I can kind of self-reflect and get a lesson or a perspective from it. And it's the best thing you can ask, as a moviegoer, not only to be compelled and into it, like I was with this and Clyde, but just think about certain things, and self-reflection, which is really good to be able to do that. So can't wait for the next one from you. Hope you start cranking them out. I know you got the ideas, and thanks for catching up again. Can't wait to talk to you again.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate your time. It's always a pleasure. Absolutely.
Take care, and let's spread the word on this. People should see it.
Thank you, Jim. You keep well.
You too. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Enjoy your stay